Imagine you're trekking through the misty rainforests of Madagascar. The air is thick with the scent of damp moss and ripe fruit, and every branch rustles with hidden life. Then you spot it, a flash of green clinging to a fern. You freeze, holding your breath to get a better look, and in the blink of an eye, that green shape vanishes. Not because it ran, but because it changed. Now it's the exact same brown as the bark beneath the fern, like it melted into the scenery. If you've ever witnessed this, you've probably asked the same question I did as a kid. Why? How do chameleons do that? And no spoiler alert, it's not just a hide. For decades, scientists and nature lovers alike bought a simple story: chameleons change color to camouflage themselves from predators. It makes sense, right? A green lizard on a green leaf, a brown one on a brown branch, basic survival 101. But here's where the story gets interesting. In the 2000s, researchers started following wild chameleons for hours, filming their every move. What they found turned that old idea upside down. Most of the time, when a chameleon changes color, it's not trying to disappear, it's trying to talk. Think of their scales like a living, breathing billboard, one that flashes messages to other chameleons or even adjusts to the weather. That's the first surprise. The second, the science behind how they change color is way cooler than mixing pigments. Let's start with the chameleon's skin, because that's where the magic lives. If we took a tiny slice of a chameleon's skin and looked at it under a superpowered microscope, we'd see something like a layer cake of tiny cells, each with a specific job. Let's peel back those layers one by one. The top layer of skin is thin, almost transparent. Just below it, we find two types of cells packed with color: xanthophores and erythrophores. Xanthophores are filled with yellow pigments. Think of them as little yellow paint tubes. Erythrophores hold red pigments, like tiny red markers. But wait, chameleons can turn green, blue, even purple. Where do those colors come from? We haven't gotten to the best part yet. Beneath the xanthophores and erythrophores, there's a layer of cells called iridophores. These are the game changers. Unlike the top layers, iridophores don't use pigments to make color. Instead, they're filled with thousands of tiny, flat, plate-like crystals made of guanine, a molecule you'll also find in human DNA. Fun fact: guanine is what makes our nails and hair strong, too. Now, here's the science magic. These crystals don't just sit still. They can shift their spacing, thanks to tiny muscles attached to the iridophore cells. When light hits these crystals, it bends just like how light bends when it passes through a prism. The distance between the crystals determines which colors of light bounce back to our eyes. But why go through all this trouble? Let's break down the two biggest reasons chameleons change color: communication and temperature control. Spoiler: communication is way more important than camouflage. First, let's talk about territorial males. Chameleons are not social creatures. Most of them prefer to live alone, and males get very protective of their space. Imagine a male panther chameleon sitting on his favorite branch, soaking up the sun. Suddenly, another male creeps into view. What does the first male do? He doesn't run. He doesn't attack yet. He flashes a bright neon display, electric blue stripes down his back, fiery orange on his sides. Females use color to communicate too, especially when males are trying to mate with them. A female chameleon who's interested might show soft, pastel colors, light green with pink spots like a spring flower. But if she's not interested, she flips to a dark, almost black color with bright yellow or orange spots. Then there's temperature control. Chameleons are ectotherms, meaning they can't regulate their body temperature like we do. We humans sweat when we're hot, shiver when we're cold. Chameleons use color. Dark colors absorb more heat from the sun. So, on a cool morning, a chameleon might wake up pale green, then turn dark brown as it basks in the sun. But not all chameleons are equal when it comes to color change. Let's meet a few stars and some less flashy players to see how this superpower varies. First, the panther chameleon Furcifer pardalis, the rock star of the chameleon world. Native to Madagascar, these guys can shift through almost every color of the rainbow. Electric blue, deep purple, fiery red, sunny yellow, even soft pink. And let's not forget the tiniest chameleon in the world, the Brookesia micra. These little guys are only about 1 inch long, smaller than your thumb. They live on the forest floor of Madagascar, among dead leaves and small branches. Unlike panther chameleons, they barely change color at all. Now, let's go back to that common myth. Do chameleons ever change color to camouflage? Yes, sometimes, but it's not their main reason. For example, if a chameleon is being chased by a predator like a bird, it might change color to blend in with its surroundings. But researchers have found that this happens less often than you'd think. Another fun fact, chameleons can't change color to match any color. They're limited by the pigments in their top layers and the crystals in their iridophores. For example, a chameleon can't turn bright red if it doesn't have erythrophores' red pigment cells. And it can't turn purple if its iridophores can't reflect blue light or its xanthophores can't show red pigment. Let's wrap this up with a little perspective. When we watch a chameleon change color, we're not just watching a lizard, we're watching a master of adaptation. Over millions of years, chameleons evolved this ability to survive in harsh, competitive environments. Their skin is a perfect mix of chemistry, pigments, and physics light reflection. The next time you see a chameleon, whether in a zoo, a pet store, or a nature documentary, take a moment to really look. If it changes color, ask yourself, is it talking to another chameleon? Is it too hot or too cold, or is it just showing off its amazing superpower? And when someone says, chameleons change color to hide, you can smile and say, actually, it's a lot more interesting than that. They're not just hiding, they're talking. They're staying warm, they're being chameleons.